Rock and roll. Good morning, everyone. We're here in Dubai in the Fluence event DePIN Day with ICN, Seb from ICN here. And we're going to do like a quick interview talking about what they're doing, what's the project about, and how exciting it is. Today at the DePIN Day, there's a lot of good, really, really good projects. And I'm happy to be interviewing all these great projects. ICN is the first one. Sib, please introduce yourself, your project, and in like very, very quickly, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, first of all, great to be here. Thanks for having me. So what we build is what we call the foundational layer for the next-gen internet. What that means is the evolution of the cloud. It's composable, permissionless, and truly open. And we're going to hopefully compete with the AWSs of this world in the nearest foreseeable future.
How did this project got started? Because it's not an easy task.
100%, it's not an easy task. So where it's coming from is our co-founder, Kai. He was the founder of a gaming studios back in the day. And they had hundreds of millions of cloud costs, actually. And this is what triggered him, is that he was locked into the system and he was thinking, okay, what is a way to change that? There was no solution out there. So he took this problem and here we are.
And when did the idea of like a DePIN or crypto project came up to build this thing?
I think what crypto has shown in the past, what it's really, really good at is providing networks, right? It allows everyone to contribute. That's what DePIN is all about, right? Anyone can contribute hardware. And that's the spark, I think, that got this fire ignited, which is everybody contributes hardware, which then allows to bootstrap this network, scale it very fast, and provide a level playing field with the providers out there. Because admittedly, cloud is not only complex, but it's also very hardware intense, right? It's very expensive. So when you get this community incentivized and going to basically provide this network, then everybody can utilize, that's when you have that level playing field and could potentially compete with the hyperscalers that are out there.
No, that's pretty interesting. And how does ICN plans to make money, and how does that rewards the users that are actually working with the platform?
Right. So we have three elements, starting with the hardware level. That's the scaler node. Right now, our customers is very B2B focused, right? In the future, this may change, but for now, it's B2B focused. So we have hundreds of enterprises using us, and they have certain requirements. So the scalar nodes that are providing the hardware, they need to sit in co-location and data centers. Yeah? So it's very enterprise-focused hardware, enterprise-grade hardware. Where everybody can contribute is what we call hypernodes, which essentially ensure the system's integrity, right? So they do these checks to make sure that the service quality that we claim to have is actually there. It's basically the transparency layer. And then we have the builder level, which is what we started with initially. And after our launch, we're going to onboard more builders. What does that mean, a builder? For us, it's any type of cloud project that demands this level playing field to deploy their software. It's open composable, so everybody can contribute to this. Anyone that's interested in cloud building, feel free to reach out.
That's amazing. How far are you guys on the roadmap? Because it's definitely not an easy thing to build. It's like AWS infrastructure on crypto.
100%. So AWS itself has like 200 plus services. So obviously you're not going to build all of that yourself, right? We started with the first service. The goal is to become multi-service again after launch. The first service is an S3 object compatible storage. We have close to 5 million recurring revenues. So it's growing quite nicely actually. But that's only the starting point. I think where it becomes interesting is when you are this thriving open ecosystem where everybody can contribute.
So far, what has been the most challenging thing for you guys? Because it's definitely not easy to, synchronize all the participants and then also the B2B side.
I think what's the most challenging is getting a network that actually has the requirements that the customers have, right? So on the Web3 side, you're used to this spare laptop hardware, which is, don't get me wrong, it's a great use case for certain users, but for our customers, they needed this co-location hardware centers with certification, with compliance, with all that, right? So I think finding that fit there was one of the first milestones that we achieved, and since we had that, I think since then it's going quite nice.
Let's talk a little bit about the crypto side of things, because I can imagine how does the token works around the ICN? Because you have also the consumer facing that I can imagine there's not really necessarily a crypto project that's going to be using you. And there's a crypto side that's going to be deploying the nodes, the tracker, the nodes that you guys have, for example, right?
So I think there's, I view this in phases, right? So initially, the customers that we currently have and are still onboarding is very Web2 customers. So they don't really appreciate the complexity of Web3. I think Web3 has its advantages, but for the traditional company, it's not really the go-to use case, right? So we abstracted that away actually for them. They just pay in USD or whatever the currency is, euro, and then we basically transform that into token, which is then the buy pressure for the protocol, right? So essentially, we buy hardware, or the builder buys hardware from us, and that's where the token transaction actually takes place. So it's abstracted away. I do see that mid to long term, we're going to expand to B2C use cases, crypto potentially as well, which arguably I think is a very interesting industry also for cloud in of itself. I think it's kind of an open secret that a lot of Web3 projects are actually running on Web2 cloud. So we are here to replace that in the midterm.
Nice. And how, if I want to be part of like ICN network as a crypto degen or a company trying to build a website or storage, how do I do it?
Right. So while I said that the scalar nodes are have certain requirements, it's not a rocket science. And anyone could do this. That's one. Two, you could always participate via nodes, so our hypernodes that actually ensure the network's integrity. This anybody can basically run with NAS providers, which I've heard there are a couple out there. And then, of course, you can always build on top. I mean, we do live by the mantra that, yes, we don't want to sacrifice performance, but as long as that's upkept, it's open, permissionless, and available for everybody.
Where can people go to learn more about ICN and the process and everything that you guys are building?
So ICN Global, of course, is a good starting point. We do have extensive documentation. There's a Discord, socials, of course, or classical email. Why not?
Nice. Yeah, and also if you can check on DePIN Hub, we have a lot of information about ICN there. Have an interview and a lot of cool things coming up very soon. Well, thanks so much for joining here. And yeah, let's enjoy the event.
Always a pleasure talking. Thanks for having me.
Cheers, man.